Steelers Nation, how we feeling, baby? Welcome back to another episode of the Texas Steel Podcast. I'm Pierce Trexler, joined always by my boy Drake Greenstein, recapping a Week 6 victory, smash mouth victory over the Las Vegas Raiders at the crib, on their turf, walked in the trap, took over the trap,
Made that
32-13. It was a home game as per usual. Each one of the season has been thus far. Man, Steelers Nation just absolutely took over the stadium, and we are firing on damn near all cylinders this week. Drake, we needed this one after a bounce back week. Coming off that Dallas loss, man. Vibes are up. How you feeling?
Bro, I feel good because the alternative, bro, if we even came close to a loss or lost this game, not only could we not be taken seriously across the league, bro, I think confidence amongst the team would have been at
Plummeted.
all-time
It would have
low.
plummeted.
Yeah.
And again, just to come out with this much of a performance, and again, it didn't really, the floodgates didn't really open up until the second half. But
Yeah.
the first half, it was kind of just slow start as per usual. Offense couldn't really generate things. I thought the first few drives we were doing some things, but then the Raiders just kind of marched down there. First drive, scored a touchdown. I think Aiden O'Connell went like 6 for 6, and they just ran all over us into the end zone. So off the bat, I was kind of a little hesitant and maybe starting to get a little panicked, but come the end of the third quarter, man, we were able to kick the feet up. We had this one basically under wraps for the entirety of the fourth quarter. Felt good to finally have one of those just kick back, relax games. And, I mean, we crossed that threshold of 30 points, which don't take for granted here in Steeler Nation because it doesn't happen all the time. But let's get into this recap, man. It just feels good to be able to solidify concrete, elevate to 4-2, continue to stay on top of the AFC North, remaining the 5 seed in the AFC. We will see how the Bills kind of act today against the Jets to maybe give us a little more leverage to move to that 4 spot. But all in all, man, just a great week, and happy to start the way that we did. Mm-hmm. All right, let's tap in.
Bro, how about Najee Harris?
Hell of a day. I mean, back against the wall, needed to bounce back. He hears the slander. RB is still injured. Or I guess Jalen Warren's first game back, but he said, all right, even more reason for me to hit the pedal to the metal. But
We finally have the yin to the yang again, bro, because Najee Harris makes Jalen Warren better. Though Jalen Warren makes Najee Harris better just because you can throw different looks at the defense. Mm-hmm. Our running game. I mean, this is what I've been waiting to see from Najee, bro, all season long.
oh yeah.
Like breakout carries, some juke moves. I didn't know Najee
I didn't know that was
had
in
a
his
little,
arsenal. He popped that in his repertoire, and that dude literally was lost. He was in a blunder, fell down.
Man.
We'll throw the clip up, but heck of a run there by Najee. But then also the touchdown. Don't quote me on it.
How
I
about
still
that
needed to
one?
do some research, but I have to believe that was the longest touchdown run with him in a Steeler uniform. But absolutely,
The other one I can think of is that one at Ben's last game at home.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
against
a
the
20 or
Browns.
30 yards too. Yeah.
But I mean, absolutely unhitched the trailer.
Yeah.
He was getting closed in at about the 5 or 6 yard line. And he said, no, I'm going air Najee.
Yeah.
And it was air mail all the way to the end zone. So love Najee's performance. He was all smiles. Obviously, he got the touchdown, first of the season, which how is that?
Yeah.
That wasn't on my bingo card. But I mean, obviously happy for him to be able to see the end zone. And then, I mean, just going down the list, I got a couple of other guys I think we need to give a few props to. Obviously, TJ Watt is TJ
Best
Watt.
player in the world.
Best on planet Earth. I mean, he continues to come out with 2 forced fumbles. We thankfully are able to fall
Recovered
on both of those,
both.
which are both
That's insane.
pivotal just because, I mean, the Raiders were going in to score, making things a little interesting, cutting it within 1 score. And, I mean, right on the goal line, TJ pinned his ears back, did what he needed to do. Deshaun Elliott falled on it. And thankfully, man, defense just kind of balled out. Action Jackson with another interception. We had 3 total turnovers this game, plus a blocked punt. I mean, what more could you ask for defensive performance? And
Shout out to Omar and Mike because, bro, Deshaun Elliott and Action Jackson, bro, him and
Incredible
Dante have
appointments.
just been absolute studs this year
yeah.
for our defense. I only bring that up just because they faced the brunt of all the bad acquisitions.
oh yeah,
But hey, you got to give them props to the Dubs,
for the
bro,
good
because
ones. Yeah,
I mean,
Deshaun Elliott is still
Deshaun
our
Elliott's
leading
been a
tackler.
stud,
He's our
yeah.
leading tackler, and he was all over the
He
field
recovered
today,
the
man.
fumble, and then I mean Dante Jackson's now up to what, 4 picks?
Yep.
3 picks
And he
on the
could have
season?
even had like he's had a couple. He dropped one
Yeah,
this game too, and he
yeah.
also dropped a few in the previous game. So like he could be floating around 5 or 6,
Yeah.
but their impact is just felt immediately. And again,
Yep.
we look at the Steelers secondary since. I mean, even prior to Joe Hayden days, even maybe we haven't had this much splash in a secondary, or this
Yeah.
much confidence in a secondary, just to be able to go in and absolutely take over. And man, have they done that this season! But again, defense setting the offense up in great positions. Something that we've kind of lacked earlier on this season is capitalizing
Yes.
off those opportunities. But I thought this week, I mean, based off of every turnover, we went and put points on the board
Yeah.
each and every time, which is that's just complimentary football. If you're given a short field, go capitalize on that short field, let your defense rest up, and we did just that today, man.
Dude, I think one thing that I've noticed is there's still a lot of work to be on the offense. But what I will say is one thing that I think that we are excelling at is within the first and goal or like red zone offense because of what Fields can offer, dude. It's just, I mean,
He's a threat.
you saw like on that play action play on the 1 yard line, there was literally nothing there.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that he can literally
can
bail
take
us out
off.
with his legs,
Yeah.
I mean,
Kenny would have probably spun into a sack. Russ would have probably just not been able to get out of there
Yeah.
and gotten sacked.
dude, we are scoring really well in the red zone. I mean, and we're drafting up great plays, but I saw with the play action and Fields really just not even having anyone to throw to. The fact that he can just whip past like DBs and outside edge rushers is just, I mean, we got some playmakers at the quarterback position.
Oh yeah, and I just like being able to add that extra element because it's just one more thing to keep defenses on their toes.
Yes.
So if they're playing on the toes, you can have someone throw over shot and have someone in the back. But if they're playing on the heels, man, let Justin
Yeah.
just be elusive and let him take off. And so obviously he did that, finishing the game with 2 rushing touchdowns, came at a very pivotal time. Man, just again, feels so good to be able to score these points. But again, this game kind of just felt weird overall. But like, I guess I don't know exactly what that was. I mean, during the first half, I felt like we're literally going to let the Raiders hang with us. And then we kind of just blew the doors off second half, and thankfully so. They kind of just bent over and gave to us. They had that one touchdown that was a little, I don't know, sus. I didn't really think they deserved it at the end to get to 13. And then they had the 2-point conversion, but we shut it down. So we were able to just give them a measly 6 points to keep it interesting. I'm sure Vegas was calling in, and they're like, "Hey, we need this game to stay close, so let's work something out," and they did. But just again, mad props to the guys. Offensively, let's just pull up some of the box stuff. Justin Fields finishing the day with a $146, no interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns, no throwing touchdowns. So again, kind of a weird, quiet day. It wasn't necessarily a breakout day for Justin Fields, but he took care of the football, went 14 for 24, resulted in a dub, and he had about 60 on the ground with his feet. Aiden O'Connell had 227, 27 for 40, so they were definitely throwing a lot
they were
more than
slinging the
us.
rock.
But
that's what you do when you play from behind.
definitely. And, I mean, when you got Action
many
Jackson
picks,
back
though?
there, I think he had just the 1 pick, but they had the 2 turnovers on the ground in the run game. And then leading rushing attack for us, Najee Harris, we already gave him his flowers. But again, I think we need to continue to double down since he does face a lot of slander. But he ended up the day with 14 carries for 106 and the tutty.
That's what you need from Najee.
Yes. And that don't need to be every week.
Yes.
Just give us that every other week. Make
know.
it some sort of consistency. This is his
Because
first
14
100-yard
carries
game
for
of the
106
year.
yards, what is that averaging out to? At least 5 to 6 yards a
Oh, yeah.
carry?
I think it's like 5.5 a carry or something
That
of the
is what you
sort.
need from a running back that you took from the first rounds.
Most
Look,
definitely.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that I've been giving him his flowers for the last like 2 years, but I will say flowers when they're due, I'll be giving them, because when you actually average 5 to 6 yards, you make splash plays like Najee did today. You deserve all the praise. And honestly, I was very impressed with Najee. It looks like he lost a little bit of weight. He looked explosive.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and off the rip of the game, the very first play of the game, handoff to Najee Harris, and he Or no, it was a pass to Najee Harris. Screen yard, caught it maybe 3 yards deep and just barreled through it
Yeah.
for the last 7.
There
And
was
then
a
we handed it to him right again, 10-yard
Yeah.
pickup. He was just playing on fire.
There was a run play, bro, where we were watching the game together. He took it up the gut for 2 yards, looked like he was done. So then I looked at you. I went to go say something, and then I looked back, and he was the ball. The huddle was
pit was carried,
Yeah, the pit
yeah.
was moving to the 15 yards. So I was like, wait, what the heck? So
Oh, yeah.
let's talk Justin though. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on the?
I mean, again, I didn't think he had an exceptional game throwing the rock. I mean, he took care of it, made some timely throws, but again, he had some miscues, had some a couple of misses that I think definitely could have resulted and generated more points. But hell, I mean, when you win 32, when you beat a team by 20, it's tough to really critique. Granted, we did get blessed in a lot of good field positions with the defense and providing those turnovers in the splash, but I think, I mean, you kind of alluded to it yesterday. I will take maybe a little bit more of a lackluster quarterback arm performance because of the other upside he brings to the
Yes,
table.
yeah.
His legs. I mean, he rushed for like 65 yards today, which and completely helped get us the victory. I mean, he scrambled for a first down. He rushed for 2 touchdowns. Need him to dial up the arm a little bit, but I do think he bought himself the starting job going into next week. What about
Yeah,
you?
I think the same. I think the same thing. Just to reiterate that point, there's just so much that he brings as far as upside that he hasn't consistently, like, because obviously there was a one stretch in the second quarter. Did you see those 3 incompletions where he sailed one over Muth? He threw one
Like, not even close.
Yeah,
Not
and the
even
thing is, I'm
close.
not gonna sit and harp on those incompletions because at the end of the day, those are 3 missed incompletions. It's not like he threw 3 pick sixes.
Yeah.
So like that's one drive. I'm not saying that it's excused, but then you see the plays where, the entire offensive line isn't set. Broderick Jones, they say hike, he's still looking behind. The entire play falls apart, and Justin takes it up the gut for 15 yards on a quarterback scramble. That's just not something you get from any quarterback on our roster. When a play breaks down, he says, "All right, well, I got my 2 legs. Where can they get me?" So you see an incredible splash from him. You see the upside. So it's able, I'm able to block out some of the stuff that I'm like, what was that throw, or what were these throws? So it's just as far as getting his decision making up to speed, and I think we could really be cooking with something. But to me, it was the quintessential Justin Fields experience that what we've been accustomed to these last 2 to 3 years watching him is just like, oh my God, you see an amazing play, and then he follows up with like what was that, bro?
Yeah.
But it's just enough to keep you on the edge of your seat where it's like, I really want to, because I think Tomlin can develop this kid.
I think we've already seen signs of improvement.
Yes.
I mean, you look at his turnover ratio in Chicago to what he's doing here. There's
Yeah.
already a lot better decision making in terms of holding onto the ball, in terms
Yes.
of just not throwing it into harm's way, not for too long and getting some big blown up sack, but just being more conscious with the football. And so I've already seen strides from him in Chicago to him now.
Yes, Pierce, look at this. For his year, look at his yearly stats. So he's thrown for 1,100 yards. That's more than Aaron Rodgers this season. All right, because I'm looking at
We got them
I'm
next
looking at
week.
the preview for the Jets here. I got the stats here pulled up. So he's thrown for 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers has thrown for 7. 1 interception though. That's the big thing I want to highlight.
Big
Only
time,
1 pick.
big time, and knock on wood, I didn't think we've thrown the ball on the ground either,
Yeah.
fumbles or anything. So that might only be 1 turnover on the season, if I'm not
The 1
mistaken.
fumble against the Colts. So only 2.
That's right, that's
so
right. Oh,
2
yeah,
turnovers
Justin,
this season,
yeah.
but 1 pick
Still.
compared to 5 touchdowns.
Crazy. Well, I mean, I'm sure if we pulled up Justin's last stats, Chicago last season, I mean, he had to have had at least 10 plus interceptions.
I mean,
So,
going into the Cowboys game, if I'm not mistaken, he had a higher QBR than Mahomes, Purdy, Geno Smith, a variety of guys, man. So, look, yeah, there's a visible difference. I mean, we just need to hone in on getting him a little bit more consistently accurate. But look, you kind of hit it on the head, bro. For Steeler Nation on social media, I'm reading the comment sections. I want to get a pulse check on the vibes. Too much complaining. You won 32-13.
That's what I'm
Pierce,
saying.
this was the biggest
That's what
road
I'm
victory.
saying.
This was the biggest road victory since 2020 when we beat the Giants on a season opener game. This is too much. Look, offense is still a work in progress. This very may well be the way that we win.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to accept that. But when you win by 20 plus, dude, you just take it and move on.
And again, let's just take some thoughts here. Like, we literally were blessed with so many good opportunities, from the block punt to the interception to the forced fumbles that the defense provided. But Steelers of past weren't capitalizing on those
Exactly.
turnovers, and we capitalized on every single one. So it's
Yeah.
like we are taking the strides. And really, if we wanted to and didn't have any respect for them, and Tomlin was just a diva, we could have literally gone down, marched down, put up 40 if
Yeah.
we really wanted to. So, I mean, I think it was a better victory than a lot of people are giving us credit for. Granted, I did say it felt weird, but I think it was because of the turnovers. We had only 145 yards, but 32 points. Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting hearing that stat line, but obviously felt good. Getting into a few more player specifics, Jalen Warren had his first game back. He still isn't looking 100%, or maybe we're just nursing him back because we were afraid that Najee might not be able to carry the boats this game, but he did just that. Jalen finishing with 6 carries for only 7 yards. So again, if he's still easing back from injury, I don't want to rush it. We are going to need him down this backstretch of the season. So let him off. Let him get a little bit more healthy.
How about Roman Wilson, bro?
Roman
one
Wilson.
snap play.
Yeah,
one snap.
One snap. And again, I was going to say maybe he was going to make a little bit more impact, but he was just in there just to get in there, I guess. As Mike Tomlin said, hard to catch a moving train, but at least he gave him a shot. I'm hoping to see a little bit more snap count from him, but I mean, we'll see. I was hoping that he could maybe even just be a decoy to open up Pickens a little bit more, but I saw him coming for that one snap, and I was looking for 10 a lot throughout the game, but didn't get to see him much. But at least we got the first one.
Yeah.
But looking at the receiving room, GP, man, I mean, still don't know where to go with this. I like his attitude. If you're looking at his social media, he's posting all of the others players' success and touchdowns and like giving flowers across the team. So it doesn't seem like he's having any antic or episode breakout, but what's the deal with these drops, man? I mean, it's they're critical. Some of these balls are still right on the money, and again, we know that he has elite potential and elite talent and body control and all that stuff, but like, for whatever reason, Pickens catches the impossible ones and drops the easiest of ones. Yeah. This thing needs to get cleared up. He finished with 8 targets for 3 receptions and only 53 yards, majority of which came on that 30-yard long ball from Justin, which could have been a tutty if he hadn't underthrown him just a little bit. But GP, again, the body control, he was able to cut the route short, come back, and catch it at his shoestrings.
Yeah.
So again, you get shit like that with GP that you can just not overlook.
But then
you have to
the following
appreciate.
Play, I could tell they were trying to get him his first touchdown of the season because he gets that catch, and then they immediately dial up a one-on-one ball,
a little fade ball, and he dropped it. It was right in his hands too. I thought it was a decent ball, and he had at least a couple of inches on the CB. So I was like, really thinking Pickens would be able to fight and get that one, but fortunately he wasn't. But again, at least it's all smiles. I see him grinning, dabbing up players for their successes and stuff, and that's what you want to see. You want to see a team first guy, and it looked like he was a team first guy today. So again, steps in the right direction. But to be honest, for me, I think our most critical receiver on the field today, yards didn't reflect that. Calvin Austin came up with some great catches and some yak. He had a couple of critical third down catches, and then another just big
3rd and 12
slant across, slant across the middle where he picked up, I think it was like 15 on it. So I think in push come to shove moments, Calvin Austin, man, not that he's solidifying himself as wide receiver 2 or that we should stop or abandon the search, but I mean, for a wide receiver 2 or 3 option, he's definitely starting to develop more of a groove than he ever has his first 2 seasons. So good to see that.
I feel like he's, out of all the receivers outside of George Pickens, he's been the biggest one to step up.
I would agree. And then it kind of drops off from there. Najee Harris, 2 catches, 2 receptions for 16 yards. Pat Muth.
Thought Muth was going to have a big day. Didn't really get see too many targets.
Didn't let him cook too much, but again, I think we were very involved with the blocking game. And again, when you're given short fields, you're kind of just given limited plays before you inevitably punch it in. So just feels good overall, man. I think there was a few other things. We had some hiccups along the way on offense, but again, they're getting cleared up, and we scored on every drive that the defense has given us a short field for. So it's very tough to complain or be too in the slumps about that. But exactly what we needed coming off of these two back-to-back embarrassing losses. I mean, set the record straight, go out, show that we can fire up points if we need to, that our defense is back to elite form, man. Just continue harping. What else you got for me?
Honestly, I can't really overstate how much we needed that. I mean, a loss would have done so
Season's
much
damn
damage.
near over with a loss.
Even
at that
even a
point.
game where we let them linger, I mean, the entire NFL media would have been like, can't take the Steelers seriously.
Yep.
And dude, I'm just thinking as a player in the locker room, if they were to lose that game. So look, got to give them credit. They came in and they stepped up.
It's never easy to win in the NFL on the road, especially.
And there's just
so.
there's a part of me kind of like the Falcons game, bro, where it's like we won more in this game, but still there's a lot of bolts to be tightened on the offense, and I still feel like, because look, the defense is not going to come up with 4 turnovers every
No.
game. And I think that's the part of it that also feels weird, because as a fan or just as a spectator, like 4 turnovers isn't realistic a week. But I do know there's upside to this offense, and I do know that there's bolts to be tightened. So I think there's some optimism to look out to. Hopefully we only get healthier. On the offensive side, it looks like we're only getting healthier.
Only getting healthier, thankfully, or I guess unfortunately.
Oh, yeah,
There are a few bumps
Frazier.
and bruises. Frazier went down with an ankle injury. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything too serious. Herbig came in, and to be honest, it didn't look like there was a change-up. I mean, he was able to hold his ground. No botch snaps, so I was happy to see that. But Frazier did unfortunately suffer an ankle injury. Based off of the sounds, I mean, I saw him walking off the field. He walked into the locker room on his own power. This
got a
is only
boot,
going to be
though.
a couple of week thing.
He's got a boot in the lock, but you never know with stuff.
You got to take the over precautions. That's
precautionary,
literally
yeah.
less than an hour after injury. They're going to want to take all the precautions they can just to make sure he's good to go as soon as he can be. But again, I can't imagine that takes any more than a couple of weeks. It didn't seem serious, walking on his own power. But again, Herbig came in, did what he needed to do. No botch snaps. And I thought the O-line for the injuries we had bared, I think we played pretty well. Broderick Jones stacked up against Max Crosby. I think he had 1 sack, but relatively had a quiet
couple
game
holds
besides that.
across the team, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, when you're lined up against that, I will take the results that we ended up getting just because he didn't make any crazy splash with a forced fumble or things of that sort. But just felt good. I was surprised Devontae Adams didn't join us on the flight back, but maybe this week we'll get a little bit more clarification and hopefully get a deal done. But did you hear anything or any specs with that as of late?
Nothing new. If anything, it's honestly trending to him staying in Las Vegas, if anything. But if we do hear anything, this would be the week. The Steelers,
I would imagine.
We finished the Raiders game. There's no more like conflict of interest of him,
Yep.
playing against any future opponents. But wouldn't this be interesting? How about this for a headline? Let's say the Steelers were to acquire him. Next game's against the Jets and A-Rod. What a cool little matchup that would be.
That would be sick.
Devontae going up against Aaron. The Jets fumble getting Devontae, and we get him. That'd be a cool little storyline. But
I would absolutely love it. Again, I just not going to hold my breath. We've all been through the Brandon Ayuk saga, so we know that
Yes.
even when we think, oh, a deal's done, it never is officially done until it's pen to paper and posted on Bleacher Report. So hold our
the
breath.
jersey swap.
Yes, we need that jersey swap edit. I'm trying to think. Do we have a 17 on this roster right now? I don't know if we do.
Not at the moment. Last one to wear it, in my memory,
Mike
was
Wallace.
Mike Wallace, yeah.
Hey, well, hopefully it's sitting on ice and reserved for him because, Tay, we're ready to have you. And hopefully this performance, granted we didn't light it up, it gives you some optimism and some hope that you could merge and mesh with this offense. So would love to get a deal done. As soon as we do, you guys will be the first to hear about it. But any other little recaps before we get on out of here?
Nah, 32-13. I'm feeling good. We needed a blowout win, Pierce.
Yes,
Needed it, Pierce.
needed it. This was the statement game we were hoping, thirsting for. Steelers Nation again. In these situations, man, I mean, just to see us getting slandered in the news, being called frauds, as as a fan base just getting gut punched 2 weeks in a row, but to still come back and take over Vegas. I mean, y'all saw the crowd, man. It was 70% Steelers fans. We had to have out attended them, and then even come closer to the end of the game, you see the silver and black funnel out, and it is just black and yellow in
Yes,
there.
sir.
So it was awesome to see the takeover. Hopefully, we can continue to take over tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week at the crib, Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers coming to town. We saw how hungry TJ was this week. You know Aaron Rodgers is shivering in his timbers, knowing that he's got to face that D front coming next week. But Sunday Night Football, man, should be electric. These Jets, I mean, they're a shit show right now. Let's just call it straight.
They
and
are.
to see their coach out, I mean, why do they have all these primetime slot games? I don't know, but this is just reasoning for us to continue to build off this momentum, double down, and continue stacking the win columns, move to 5-2. Definitely think we can do that, but we will have a preview coming out for you guys here soon. Any further remarks before we get out of here?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. Sunday Night Football again. Gotta get that sour taste out of Dallas out of my mouth, bro.
Oh yeah. So let's go bounce back, do what we need to do. Tomlin again, when the back is pinned against the wall, he comes out and he swings harder than he ever does. So let's hope that momentum can carry into next week. Steelers Nation, soak up this one, enjoy, and here we go, Steelers. Here we go.